Have you ever thought, wow, those handhelds that are shaped like Game Boys are really cool, but I wish the buttons were on the side?
And I at least need 2 joysticks.
That's what we have for you today. This is the Anbernic RG35XX H. It is a very interesting device because it takes that idea of the cheap emulator that plays up to the PlayStation 1, PSP, and some Nintendo DS games and makes it easier and more accessible to a lot more people. This is a fantastic little device, so let's dive into it and break down what the outside of the device looks like.
And this device has ABXY buttons that are squishy, not clicky, start and select buttons that are also squishy, and a D-pad that is also squishy, 2 sticks that are sunken in and also have clicks, which are clicky. Moving to the sides of the device, we have a volume rocker that is clicky, not squishy. On the top of the device, we have a reset switch which counts as the OS's on-screen navigation, which is squishy, not clicky. Then we have the triggers on the sides, which are clicky, not squishy. On the right-hand side of the device, we have a power and reset switch that are clicky and not squishy. And on the back, we don't have any buttons, but we have 2 nice little rubber pads that are not clicky or squishy, but definitely tactile. And I've designed these stands, so if you like them, let me know in the comments down below, and maybe we'll make them available.
Now, I think this is the largest selling point of the device because it takes the idea of the RG35XX Plus and just changes the form factor and keeps the price point around the same as well. And keeping it this pocketable size and weight down makes a big difference in the long run for portability and comfort. This device has a lot of great ergonomic options, but what does the software have to offer?
And for the software, this device does a lot. It's a Linux-based operating system, meaning you're not going to have any Android options here. But what this does is this plays the 8 and 16-bit eras of consoles really well, all the way up to the Nintendo DS and PSP games. Now, both of those devices are kind of the max you can emulate on this little handheld here. The Nintendo DS being emulating some of the games pretty well. This not having a touchscreen does kind of mess with the controls a little bit, but having those joysticks really help because you can bind the cursor to the sticks, which is really nice. And where I think this thing shines is the 3:2 aspect ratio, stuff like your Game Boy Advance. And honestly, I had a lot of fun playing Monster Hunter 1 on the PSP on this device and all the other Monster Hunters because you now have dual joysticks where you can actually use the camera to pan versus those awful shoulder buttons from the PSP. So even though it's a little chunky because it's not a widescreen aspect ratio like the PSP was, I think this really does fit a certain niche differently than the vertical version of this handheld.
In summary, for this price point, the emulation on this device is fantastic. It does a lot for what it costs, and the screen's pretty cool. In addition to those sticks, I think you got a pretty good option for a starter handheld. With this lower end category in mind, here are some of the things that I like about this device. I like that they've kept the same screen because the screen on this device has a sweet glossy coating and it makes it look very nice on top of the device with the colors they've picked. I'm really glad that they offered the soft touch rubber on the back because that makes a big difference when you pick up the device. It feels a little more premium than the plasticky shell that it has. And adding those joysticks in for this price point and the hardware that's being offered here is really cool because this gets a lot of gaming done. But this does bring us to what I don't like about this device, which there isn't a whole lot. The only thing I would say that this device is a problem for is I have big mitts and it's kind of small, but I think that's kind of the whole point of this device is to keep the cost down and the materials down so that it's a pocketable, cheaper thing so you can throw it in your bag and not worry about it. I would say this is the perfect addition to something like a Windows handheld or a Steam Deck because it just works in a different way than anything else does. It plays all of the retro games in addition to playing some Linux ports and Pico 8, but keeps that form factor just tiny so that you can put it in your pocket, put it in your bag, doesn't matter, bring it with you anyway. This device was provided to me by litnxt.com, and if you'd like to pick up a copy for yourself, the link is down in the description below. I appreciate them sending this out for review. So the cost for this device is around $80, the $80 price point. That's barring any shipping or handling. And this brings us to the odd portion of the video of, what is this competing against? Well, I think this is directly competing against the Miyoo Mini and Anbernic's own devices like the RG405M, which I recently just reviewed. That is the metal Android version of this device, and it does a lot of the same things, but also has Android, which makes it a bigger difference when you have Android, because you can do all the Android stuff as well. Now, this is just a Linux-based handheld, so that's all you're getting there. You can do Moonlight, but I've never bothered. The screen's too small. So I think this, for Anbernic, is more of a ergonomic decision.
Basically meaning if you liked the Anbernic RG35XX Plus as a device, but wanted sticks on it instead of just a D-pad, this is basically what you'll be looking for. Because it's the same internals, just turned sideways, instead of the Game Boy style version being upright with the triggers behind the device.
That is all I have for this video, because this is a fantastic device. I've been enjoying playing PSP on it, even though it's got a weird aspect ratio, and I think a little chunky's okay with me, because being able to play the first Monster Hunter again with dual sticks to pan around that camera versus the stupid trigger buttons is awesome. In addition to playing like Daxter, and they use the camera buttons a lot on the PSP, so having dual sticks for that in this size is pretty cool, even if it is a little chunky. So that's all I've got for this one. If you'd like to check out other handhelds or the other handhelds recommended in this video, the Anbernic RG35XX Plus or the Miyoo Mini Plus, check them out. They're right here. They're free. Give them a click. Smell them. Taste them. Watch them. Goodbye.